This is the AirPods Pro Gen 2, and this is Gen 1. And at first glance, they're identical. But that's a very good thing. See, Apple knew they had a winning formula the first time around, so why change things? So you get the same level of case comfort in the pocket. You get the same level of earbud comfort in your ear, all while giving you greater battery life, about 5 hours 30 to 5 hours 45, realistically, depending on your volume levels, and a more precision Find My function that now supposedly works for both the earbuds as well as the case. More on that in a bit. Now, Gen 1 was known for a few specific things. It was known for having a nice level of sound quality, especially for people who didn't want a very bass boosted and treble boosted sound. For its time, it had surprisingly good active noise cancellation performance, and till this date, it has the best transparency mode, period. So what did Apple do? They took all of those things and some others and made it all better. Take for instance the sound quality. Now the Gen 2 has the same neutralish sound quality that you had from Gen 1, but you've got a cleaner mid-range and a little more sub-bass emphasis, so you get a little more of that deep low-end rumble in certain music tracks or while watching movies. I can tell you it sounds really nice. Active noise cancellation is noticeably improved from the previous gen and looks something like this. Now, it's not class leading. The Sony XM4 is this line over here. And if you're confused, what it means is very simple. Lower is better. You can see the Sony XM4 by and large is lower because it has more noise reduction. But that's only if you can get it to fit you right. The AirPods Pro Gen 2 will give you very good levels of ANC and is more likely to fit a wider variety of ears and is definitely more comfortable than the XM4, especially with those extra small tips they come with. And that makes it much easier to recommend and much more likely to be a good fit and a good ANC experience for a lot of people. Also, I wonder how the new Bose QC earbuds would fare against these. You already know we're doing it. You know that review is coming, the comparison's coming, so you probably want to hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, do consider hitting the like button. Apparently it helps a ton. Now they've also improved other things like the Find My feature. Supposedly. I say supposedly because it doesn't work for me. There are a handful of us for which Find My is not working. I don't know if they'll release a firmware update to that effect, but I will keep you updated. To be fair, for the people that it did work, the Find My app worked brilliantly. Plus, you've got a little speaker grill at the bottom of the case to emit a certain tone to help you find them. And you can now put a little lanyard for what it's worth. This is particularly impressive because, according to multiple reports, replacement cases as well as replacement buds are responsible for tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. So kudos to Apple for making it easier to find them if you've lost them, harder to lose them in the first place, and just reducing the likelihood that you'll need replacement parts. And what's also impressive is that they have supposedly improved spatial audio performance. Now, it's really hard to measure this or to review it with objectivity, so I'm just going to give you my subjective impressions. They sound amazing, but certain music tracks certainly seemed like certain frequencies were being subdued and certain other frequencies were being pushed up. This is probably to achieve that spatial effect, and it does this, but I can tell you that certain music tracks certainly don't sound like they're supposed to. Now, whether you like that or not is up to you, but I think it's safe to say that if the content was made for spatial audio or remastered for it, then it's probably going to sound really nice. But if not, then maybe it's worth your time toggling spatial audio on and off and seeing which one you prefer.
But the really cool thing is that new transparency mode. Now, Apple already had the greatest transparency mode in all time. But they went and made it better. According to Apple, what it does now is the same thing it did before, but if you have certain sounds that are significantly louder than everything else in the ambient sound, then it reduces those sounds to make it easier for you to listen. Keeps everything level, saves your hearing, keeps things comfortable. By the way, you're listening to the microphone on the AirPods Pro right now. There's traffic, there's construction noise. There's a fair bit of noise out here. There, you'll see another microphone here. That's just for backup in case this doesn't work out so well. Now, I wanted to test this out for myself, so I went outside and I put myself next to construction sites, right next to people working. And that is really loud. By the way, how the microphone's doing so far. I also put myself in the middle of the road in traffic noise. There are three things I noticed. And number one, ambient sound now tends to amplify sound just a little bit, not as much as a lot of other Bluetooth earbuds, but just a little bit. Two, it seems to suppress certain higher frequency sounds, but that could just be in my head, because that's when I realized it's not supposed to be obvious. If it's doing its job, then everything should sound natural but level to me. It shouldn't sound out of place in the first place if Apple's got it right. And two, I have no frame of reference. I don't have my old AirPods Pro because, ironically, I lost an earbud, so I have nothing to compare it to. And number three, that you should hit that subscribe button for more awesome content, because we're about to verify this.
It was time to do some measurements. Now, this is my DIY noise cancelling measuring kit. If you don't know what that is, I'll link the video up here. I did a whole video on it. It's super cool. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm getting this speaker right here with a little bit of EQ to put out a test tone at a certain volume. Then I use this measurement microphone to measure that tone. Then I do it again, but this time I use the AirPods Pro. I spoof the sensor to make it think that it's actually in the ear, put it like so, turn it on to transparency mode and measure that same test tone. Then I do it again at 4 different volume levels. And this is what I found out. Now bear with me. So the first signal looked something like this, right? This is what was recorded with transparency mode on. See those two lines, how close they are to each other? That means the AirPods Pro in transparency mode is reproducing almost exactly what my original tone was. This is exactly why the transparency mode of the AirPods Pro is so gosh darn good. It's producing sound pretty much exactly as it is outside. Brilliant. What if I increased it by 10 decibels though? Well, that's the new reference line, 10 decibels above. And that's the transparency mode. Once again, doing exactly the same thing. Beautiful transparency, very linear, little bit of suppression over there perhaps, but otherwise pretty much dead on what we saw before. Here's where it gets really interesting. Now this time, I upped it by 20 decibels, making a very loud reference signal. And this is what came out of the AirPods Pro. And as you can see, now we're seeing a whole different level of suppression. Down over here is the bass frequencies, the lower end rumble that you would hear out on the street, engine noises, diesel generators, that sort of thing. That is reproduced pretty much as is. But as we get to the higher frequencies, high-pitched noises, they're actually getting suppressed quite a bit. And this goes on as I increase the volume. This was the loudest signal I had, another 10 decibel above the previous one. And this was the transparency mode I got. Significant amounts of reduction over there. Probably I reached some kind of threshold for the AirPods Pro. Now, this is just a DIY home rig. I can't guarantee that my results are scientifically perfect. In fact, they probably aren't. But as far as I can tell, as the volume of the test tone keeps increasing, beyond a certain point, it starts seriously reducing the mid and high frequency signals while not reducing the bass as much. Although beyond a point, I see the bass also being reduced. Now to me, what that means is you could now be walking around with AirPods Pros in your ears on transparency mode. You'll hear everything around you pretty well. You'll hear loud noises as well. But beyond a certain point, it'll start suppressing those noises just to keep things even for you, just to save your hearing. And that is a really, really nice thing. But at the end of the day, it comes down to one question and one question alone. Should you buy it? Well, let's look at 3 different types of people. Person number 1, the complete Apple person. Apple ecosystem all the way, and for that person, this is a no-brainer. The Apple AirPods Pro Gen 2 is noticeably and measurably better in every single way compared to Gen 1, and given that you now get precision location finding, that might actually save you some money in the future. It's a no-brainer. But what about person number 2? Somebody like me who has one Apple device and that's it. I have a MacBook Pro and I have a Google Pixel 6 for my phone and I have a Windows PC for my gaming and other things. What do? Well, there's a case to be made for me as well. See, as long as you've got at least one Apple device in your repertoire, you will have access to spatial audio as long as you use Apple Music, of course. You will have precision finding, and you'll be able to take advantage of everything else that the earbud gives you anyway. Fantastic transparency mode, good active noise cancellation, great comfort, and a really nice control scheme on those stems as well. But what about person number 3, the person who has no Apple devices whatsoever? Well, I would struggle to recommend the AirPods Pro for that person. Even for me, with only one device, I lose out on multi-point connections because that is ecosystem locked. For the person who doesn't have even one Apple device, you're getting really nothing. You get a great basic Bluetooth earbud with fantastic ANC and transparency mode and all that. But the fact is, there are lots of competitors in the market now in 2022 doing similar things. Great ANC, done. Sony XM4, the Sony Link Buds S, the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, all the stuff from Soundcore. Great ANC, good frequency response, pretty decent transparency modes, a lot of customizability. You get the idea. I would much rather recommend any one of those earbuds because you're more likely to get more options and features from them. And if you're curious about that, I've got a whole bunch of reviews on this channel, so maybe hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will see you in the next one. Till next time, stay happy, stay peaceful, and stay colorful. Namaste.